here.
I'll just wait on the.
I'll text you. Okay.
Good morning. This presentation this morning is the monthly report by the Shoshone Business Council to the members of the Eastern Shoshone Tribe. The way we'll handle this morning is, first of all, a report by Karen Snyder on the COVID funding. That's the status of that and where we're at. The next subject will be the COVID order itself. That'll be presented by Mike Ute. He'll give an update on the status of that and what the future might be as to that order. The third presenter today will be John Washiki. He'll talk about the COVID vaccine and COVID testing. And finally, I'll close with an update on the Circle Ridge project, where the tribes were awarded the right to terminate the lease with Merit Energy and to begin to look at operating the field ourselves. So at this time, we'll have Karen go ahead and start.
Thank you, Chairman. It's good to be back here doing presentation on behalf of the Shoshone Business Council, or for the Shoshone Business Council, and information that I think is really important to the members of our tribe. As you know, I'm here as the COVID coordinator. And so I'm going to provide you with an update of some of the expenses and how they've occurred. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the funding. So the initial funding was made available to the tribes in about mid-April, and this was through the Department of Treasury. So myself and our CFO, Barb Maru, we submitted the appropriate documents and got funding on behalf of the tribe. There was a combination of information that they wanted. Our population, how many employees we had. One of the initial requests was land base, and unfortunately that did not get factored in. So the end result was, at the end of June, the Shoshone tribe received $12,374,109.91. And from that time, it's been a flurry of activities, because the goal and the objective always has been, this money has got to be spent and out the door by December 31st, 2020. So I'm going to go over the budget, and I'll talk a little bit about where those expenditures are. But what I have to just say is, no matter who was sitting in that position, the goal and the objective was always to get the money out the door by December 31st, 2020. So as we prepare documents for audits, and that's ongoing. That's something I frequently and often, but I will right now go down the budget. So initially, I told you the total amount. So our first line item was the welfare assistance, and we funded $3,550,400, and that was for an allocation of $800 for 4,438 tribal members. All of those funds have been spent. Our second line item was food security, and we funded $1,721,600 for 2,869 tribal members. We're a little bit over on that budget, excuse me, because we had we paid for the food vouchers that we had in November and December out of this line item. The next item was, we allocated $384,112 for generators to be purchased. Initially, it was to be at Rocky Mountain Hall and Big Wind Hall. Once the purchase was initiated, they found out infrastructure at Rocky Mountain Hall was really inefficient. So that generator has been purchased, and will be situated at the Boys and Girls Club, and then the other one will be at Big Wind Hall. We did have a little bit of savings from that budget, that line item. The next item was the weatherization program for our elderly homes. And we allocated $1,650,000. And that was to fund 300 senior homes with a budget of $5,500 per home. Now we are over budget in that item, and I'm going to come back to this and I'll talk a little bit more in detail as to why we're over budget and how we're addressing that. The next program was the Shoshone Road Stabilization. We put $650,000 into that program, and we went a little bit over budget in that one as well. And that was primarily because of the outdated equipment that Shoshone Roads was trying to serve our people with. And so we really did do as much as we could to build them from the infrastructure. The next program was the Solid Waste Stabilization, and we put $300,000 in that budget. And that's equipment for use at our trash piles, to remove trash. In that, we spent all the funding. The next operation was the wood cutting operation. And again, this is the program that's through 477. We did put $121,000 into that program. And we spent just a small portion, and it was because they had carryover funding that they had to spend first. So that money has been reallocated. The next budget was the utility stabilization program, and we allocated for 200 senior homes at $250 per month times 6 months. So it was a total of a $1,500 benefit for all of those individuals. And I'm really happy to say we've put $450,000, and of that, we have spent $413,769. So all of that money has been appropriately spent. And I think it's really, it's kind of exciting to know that we were able to help at least 210 seniors, and it's for a total of 357 services. Because remember with that one, they could split it, so some people had more than one service. So, and the other good part about that is we have brought this money back through our Shoshone utility program. So $107,000 of that has been recirculated back into our community. The next item is Fort Washakie Volunteer Fire Department. We put $150,000 into that budget, and all of that funding has been spent. The next item is the healthcare delivery, and that was for the purchase of 5 new vehicles. All of those vehicles have been purchased and are currently in use. And that total budget was $175,000. The next item was the Education Resilience Program, and we put $179,686, and that was for the purchase of laptops for our higher education students. All of that funding has been spent. Next line item is we put $50,000 in for purchase of power poles. There was only one individual that took advantage of this service, so that funding has been redistributed to the budget. The next item was we put $224,000. Housing rehab and deep cleaning, we put $36,000, and that was to assist the Shoshone Housing Authority with deep cleaning of some of their housing units. The next big budget item was for the tribal government operations. We put $2.5 million into that account. A good portion, $1.3 million, was utilized on wages. We did purchase a vehicle. Some of the other big ticket items in that budget were we did fund the Shoshone Rose Casino, $364,000, and that was for opening of, or to utilize the facility as a quarantine. We did purchase all new dialysis machines for the dialysis center. That was something that has been long overdue, and so we purchased all of those machines. We did fund EST construction. They are doing the dirt work on the new tribal health building that you'll see coming up by the Boys and Girls Club. So we did fund the dirt work for that. And I think though we also paid Shoshone credit for the distribution of those first payouts that we did to individual tribal members. So, and that's kind of the tribal government's operation. We did. So in addition, we did the refrigeration units and storage, and those have all been ordered, and they should be in place here soon. And then the internet connectivity. And that was where we assisted tribal members in their home if they had children in school or just individuals. We assisted with those individuals, and those funds have all been allocated. So, as I said earlier, the funding has all been spent, but I would like to go back and revisit the weatherization program. So all of the funds that I talked about where we had a savings, all of that money has been reallocated to the weatherization program. Again, we're over budget by $566,759. So we went over by $1 million. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why. We had a total of 188 individuals that applied for services. We had 43 of those individuals who chose to do private contractors. And our budget kind of got a little bit lopsided with that, but we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. We wouldn't have been able to achieve this without the private contractors. But the real saving grace for us is Bullock Construction. To date, they've completed 41 roofs and our services, and they are scheduled to do an additional 88 homes. And this is the money that's going to be going forward. We have a budget of $5,500 for those 88 individuals who so far have not received any services. And those are for individuals that have requested siding, windows, doors, or skirting. What they had done first, Bullock Construction, was roofs. So we do have a budget for all of those individuals, and that's the money that's going to be moved forward. So I think the majority, the 189 people that have applied for services, it's all been taken care of. So that's the update on the budget. I do have to commend Bullock Construction. We couldn't have done this without them. They have maintained the budget, the original budget of $5,500 for these individuals. They have maintained that. They have kept people within budget. They have bought in bulk. The good part for our community is that they have hired 27 individuals, and the majority of them are Shoshone tribal members. So they've hired all of those additional people that are on their payroll, and these individuals will stay employed until May the 21st. That's the deadline that we have to complete those additional 88 homes. And I will be trying to reach out to you if you haven't received services, or if you're just inquiring, am I still on the list? Feel free to call me. I'm at 335-2009, and I can give you an update of where we're at and what additional services that we have slated. What I have to say kind of broadly is how this whole thing rolled out. By no means perfect. There's a lot now that if we could go back and do it all over again, but the money came at us really quick, and our goal and objective was to get it out the door. And thank you to Councilman Mike Ute for initiating that process, and he really did work some miracles to get this done. So appreciate that. Also, I want to give a shout out to our elderly assistance program. They have been invaluable in this process. They have gone out. A lot of our tribal members have comfort in knowing these individuals and that they're there and that they're familiar with their homes. So shout out to all of that staff. They've been supportive. They've done everything that they possibly could to help us get through this. Also Shoshone Credit, they were the ones that initiated those preliminary checks, but I can't. So where we're at right now is at the end of December. I mean, it was to the final hour on December 28th. Congress authorized the extension of this COVID funding. And so what it allows is it's bought us a little bit of wiggle room. So what it says is we have till December 31st, 2021 to allocate and to spend the remainder. Well, not allocate, all of our funds have already been allocated, but to spend and perform the services that we had planned to do by the end of the year. Unfortunately, when they did the new stimulus bill, it didn't authorize any additional money for the tribe. So at this point, the tribe, I don't see the tribe receiving any additional funding unless there's something that Congress pushes through with a different stimulus bill under the new administration. I think, Mr. Chairman, I think that's in a nutshell. I guess I'll talk a little bit more before I leave. Is the new stimulus bill actually extended emergency unemployment relief for governmental agencies. It extends credits for paid and sick family leave. And I do work with Human Resources on that process, and then there's some employee retention tax credits that the tribes can apply for. There's some other provisions of this. We don't have a CDFI, so there's some other provisions that probably are not going to be applicable to us. So again, if you have any questions about the service that you did or did not receive, please call me 335-2009. And I'd just like to say in closing that if you see any of these bullet construction workers out there, tell them good job, because they truly have done a good job. I mean, I'm so proud of them, and for the amount of skills that these young individuals are achieving. I mean, they can go out in the world with some of the skills that they've achieved. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your report, Karen. I want to thank you on behalf of the tribe for your efforts in obtaining the funding and then working on the budget and overseeing the project while you were on the Shoshone Business Council. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just stay here. I'm going to change the agenda around a little bit and go ahead and do my presentation, get that out of the way. After I'm finished, we'll have Mike Ute and John Washiki. So my report today is on the Circle Ridge field. There was a 20-year lease with Marathon with a royalty of 29%. 2016, Merit Energy purchased that from Marathon. And when the lease did expire, it was the end of 2019. At that time, Merit was not willing to pay the 29% royalty and was negotiating for a lot less, which was 20% or less. So the tribe decided not to renew. They notified Merit, and when the time came for it to expire, Merit filed for arbitration under a clause in the existing lease. That proceeding started at the beginning of 2019, and in November, the arbitrator made the decision that the tribe could terminate the lease. However, Merit was given a preferential right to operate, not to have a new lease, but to operate. During this period of the time, the tribe has spent over $300,000 in attorney's fees and arbitration fees. And with our revenues down because of the low price in for the price of oil, this has been a major financial burden, resulting in, at one point, all tribal employees having reduced hours to 32 instead of 40 a week, and then later, just recently, to reduce tribal hours again. So for a while, COVID had picked that up, and we were able to temporarily have our employees go back to 40, but now some of our programs are at 32. The tribe will, as soon as some revenue is generated or comes in, we will put everyone back to 40 hours. The decision by the Merit, by the arbitrators, was November 18th, 2020. And like I said, it allows a preferential right for Merit to operate. So right now, we're in the process of trying to get that completed by the 18th of March, which is the day the tribes can start operating. Just to go back up a little bit, the difference between an operating agreement and a lease is that an oil company will usually enter into a lease with the tribes. They'll pay a royalty of usually around 25% or less. That means they're getting 80% of the income. The tribe is getting about 20%. That's under a lease. Under an operating agreement, the tribes just hire someone to operate, or the tribe operates that lease themselves. the tribe would receive 100% of the income minus the cost to operate. Now, if that's with an operating company, the operating company will probably have to pay state or county taxes. If the tribe operated themselves, they would not have to pay state or county taxes. So there's a little difference there. The working group that was created back in December was that there would be work sessions about every week, lasting about, there would be 2 work sessions a week, usually lasting up to 2 hours. Those present at the group meetings will be all council members, the tribal attorneys, any advisors that were hired by the tribes, and a team from the federal government that's providing technical assistance. Right now, our advisors are assessing the value of the field and the value of the equipment in the field. These will be utilized to estimate the cost to operate and also to estimate the cost of the value of the equipment. Because whether the tribe operates itself or operates with a company doing that, we have to purchase the equipment. We want to get a fair market value of that equipment before we agree to any proposal from Merit. The other uses for the assessments are to apply for a loan to cover the costs of paying for the equipment and the cost of operating. We're in the process of negotiating with banks to loan us the money to do that. And also, if our proposal to operate is a good proposal, that loan may be or could be guaranteed up to 90%. The task that we have to do, the task we have to do in our meetings then is to assess the value of the field, to decide which operating company to go with. It looks like it'd be wise to use an operating company at this point at first because of their expertise and experience in operating. And after a period of time, a year, perhaps, maybe more, part of the agreement is for them to train our people. Eventually, we want to operate ourselves. The long-range goal is to do this with Circle Ridge and to eventually do that with all of the leases that expire. One is due to expire the end of this year. Because resources are jointly owned, this will have to be a project with both tribes. So both tribes are now participating, and since oil is a mineral that is owned by both tribes jointly, we'll proceed forward jointly on this and hopefully be able to cooperate and work together for the benefit of you and the benefit of all of our residents of the reservation. Thank you. Are we on the break? We can go ahead and do that and make that call.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that wished me a happy birthday yesterday. I don't have anything really prepared, so hopefully I can stay on track and not lose my train of thought too much. So I'm going to talk about the order, the confusing order. So I'm going to try to make it as not confusing as I possibly can, at least to the best of my abilities. And to make it really simple, the stay-at-home order hangs on by a thread. And what that means is we have lifted the orders in concerns to schools and more specifically high schools or the older children for now. I think middle school children are affected as well. We did not mention the Head Starts or daycares, and I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. We haven't been approached by daycares or Head Starts when it concerns the stay-at-home order. So that will be revisited very soon. Also, it stays in place for some of the community halls, specifically Rock Hall and the Big Wind Hall. The exception to that is if you can keep your gatherings at or under 10 people, then we should be fine. All you have to do is submit something in writing telling the business council how you are going to keep people safe, the precautions you're going to take, and who is going to be at your gathering, and we should be fine. That's totally up to the community hall, of course, if they're free. Just remember, if you can keep your gathering small, we're fine. It's when we get into these large indoor gatherings where we're going to have problems, and so the stay-at-home order does affect that. So again, to make it as simple as I can, the stay-at-home order stays in place and it hangs on by a thread. It has been lifted so that the schools can start. And I personally, I want to wish the schools good luck. And I trust that the administrations of those schools can keep people safe, that they can keep your children safe, and then hopefully the compliance within the schools stays very high and we can keep everybody safe at home, especially our elders. We need to keep them safe. So maybe some of the kids don't go see grandma and grandpa, or they go to school, they just come home, they do their work, maybe they go to practice, and that's it. So again, let's keep people safe, keep wearing the masks, get your vaccinations if you can. So that is the stay-at-home order. I think that was it. John, did you have anything?
Yeah, I want to talk about COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccination started at the end of December. Healthcare workers were the first to receive it. The IHS clinic is now looking to vaccinate all tribal elders over 60 years of age. Out of the roughly 1,000 elders, only 780 have been vaccinated. If your relative is 60 and over and hasn't received the vaccine, please encourage them to do so. Elders 60 and over, please call the IHS to set up an appointment for the vaccine. IHS is now working on phase 1B and 1C. IHS continues to receive more doses each week, and also the Eastern Shoshone Tribal Health has requested 1,000 doses of the vaccine. The 1,000 doses, as I understand it, is not available yet, but we'll let you know when it comes in and when it is available. We feel it's very important that as many tribal members as we can get vaccinated, and hopefully we move on to some type of immunity. Next, I want to talk about the testing. Testing for COVID-19 continues at the IHS. Additional testing is available to Curative Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Rock Hall parking lot. It is open to anyone and it's free. Your results will be 1 to 2 days after the test. Mouth swabs test 100% are 100% accurate. Test takes less than 10 minutes. We have testing at Big Wind Hall and Crowheart every Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tribal Health is still doing surveillance of tribal programs on Tuesdays. It's open not only to staff, but to anyone who wants to take the test. And they're not on the random list, so you can walk in. If you receive vaccine, continue to take precautions. You can still spread or contact the virus. We want you to wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, avoid large gatherings, wash your hands. Don't listen to the myths that's out there about it. Tribal Health remains willing to help the community in any way and provide education. And if help is needed to promote the safety of the community, mask and sanitizer is available. You have to call ahead to receive those supplies, but Tribal Health COVID-19 team can help families needing education for family events like funerals, to educate and make sure they are taking all precautions necessary to keep those in attendance safe. And again, just follow the procedures, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, avoid large gatherings, and wash your hands.